Yo, my name is Nikias, and today I want to talk about three of the most common cutting and bulking mistakes that I see in the trans mask fitness community. It's the new year, so I thought it would be great to release this now and leave these mistakes in 2025. Anyway, before I get into today's topic, if you are interested in one-to-one online coaching or if you would like to purchase a custom program without coaching, check out my website or email me. All of the links are in the video notes. And without further ado, these are the three most common mistakes I've seen among trans mask people, which may be holding you back from building the physique that you want faster. Mistake number one is bulking too soon when you're tired of cutting. And I see this all too often in the online space. People jump into a bulk because they're either a bit frustrated or tired of their fat loss phase, or because they're afraid that they're not building much muscle in a fat loss phase. But they are also still hiding their hips and belly under layers and layers of clothes. Then, after 2 months on the bulk, they feel like they've put on more fat than muscle. And their perception is understandable because fat tissue sits on top of muscle. If you bulk when you have more body fat than you're comfortable with, you may be putting on muscle, but it's still hidden under the existing fat layer, which is now also getting thicker because you're in a surplus. Furthermore, muscle growth takes time, and even in a surplus, it's typically less noticeable than fat accumulation unless you are flexing and or you're under good lighting. As a result, these early bulkers feel like they're just gaining fat and no muscle, so they go into another cut after 2 months. Then they rinse and repeat. And in truth, they're stuck losing and gaining the same 5 pounds without much fat loss or muscle gain to show for it. Instead, you are better off getting as lean as you want to be on a regular basis or a little leaner, then bulk from there. These are the main benefits of this approach. Number one, you actually get to feel comfortable in the lean body that you want instead of settling for however lean you got when you got fed up of cutting. Number two, you also realize that even though you are lean, you are probably not as muscular as you'd like to be, which is some very powerful motivation for a bulk, and I can tell you that from personal experience. Number three, you've bought yourself several months in a calorie surplus, which is going to help you build far more muscle than bulking for just 2 months at a time. And number four, by shedding the excess body fat, you are not just improving your physique, but your overall health and well-being. So commit to each cutting and bulking phase for as long as it takes to get results, instead of jumping between the two when you get tired of one. That is how my clients get their excellent results, by getting lean enough that they feel comfortable bulking for at least 4 to 6 months, which is, in my experience, the minimum amount of time required to make a significant difference to your physique, unless you're a genetic freak or on steroids. Mistake number two is chronically undereating, and I feel this one personally. Chronically undereating was my Achilles heel for ages. As you know by now, if you checked out my very first long-form video here on YouTube, I suffered from a restrictive eating disorder in my adolescence, and I also dealt with disordered eating thoughts and behaviors in my early 20s. So I basically ended up undereating for nearly a decade. Since I got into bodybuilding about 7 years ago at this point, over 7 years ago as of now, I've always felt more comfortable with cutting than with bulking. And indeed, at the start of my physique development journey, gaining scale weight freaked me the F out. But you will not build as much muscle as you can without going into a small surplus. If your goal is to maximize your muscle growth potential and you have already achieved a lean physique, then spending enough time in a calorie surplus will be far more beneficial than always just barely maintaining your weight or oscillating between maintaining and losing. Having said that, not everyone wants to maximize muscle growth. If you do not want to commit to cutting and bulking cycles, and you are happy with a lower rate of muscle growth, then you do not need to be in a surplus. You can train hard and gain muscle at maintenance calories, which I discussed in a podcast that I'm going to link in the video notes. However, your maintenance may not be what you think it is when you math it out. Some people with undereating tendencies believe that they are maintaining weights on 1500 calories, for example, or another relatively low amount for their size, because they are technically not seeing scale weight changes. Understandably, they are thinking, I'm not gaining or losing weight, therefore I must be eating at maintenance calories. And while this is a fair assumption, it's also possible that their true maintenance calories may be a little higher, but their metabolism has adapted to many months, if not years, of undereating and or overexercising. So it's burning fewer calories than it's truly capable of. This is why it can look like the scale is not dropping even on a relatively low caloric intake. As a personal anecdote on this, I've had symptoms of an underactive thyroid for my entire adult life. And when your thyroid is underactive, your metabolic rate slows down. When I started bodybuilding in 2018, my symptoms were manageable, but they have worsened over time, even though I introduced thyroid medication in 2021, if I'm not wrong, off the top of my head. And my belief now, which my medical team agrees with, is that the main reason may be chronic stress, which I won't go into too much detail here so as not to make this video super long and about myself, but suffice to say, I have accumulated plenty of chronic stress in the last 15-ish years of my life, between my bodybuilding endeavors and how hard I push myself in all areas of life. As a consequence, I've estimated that my metabolic rate has slowed down by around 200 calories since 2021. In other words, up to 2021, I used to maintain on around 2000 calories, whereas ever since then, I've easily gained weight when going above 1800 calories. That's why I'm currently in a metabolic restoration phase, which includes more thyroid medication with my medical team's supervision and better stress management on my part. And the goal is to correct this state. And I'm really excited to say that I'm already at 1900 calories without any undesired weight gain, and I'm going to experiment with increasing calories to 2000 from next week. Anyway, the point is, do not assume that you're at maintenance calories just because your weight isn't changing. And do not assume that you would not benefit from gaining some weight even if you do not want to commit to a full-on bulk, if you have been chronically undereating for a really long time, especially if you are on the cusp or already are underweight according to the BMI scale. Mistake number 3, and that's going to be our last one for today: bulking too soon when you do not need to cut. Not everyone needs to lose fat when they're starting their physique development journey, but this doesn't mean that a bulk is the right move for you just yet. The goal of the ideal bulk is to put on as much muscle as possible with as little fat gain as possible. To accomplish this, you need to know how to train with proper form, how to train close enough to failure, how to be consistent with training, and how to eat for this goal. And these skills all require time and practice. As a beginner, no offense, you're going to suck at all of them, which is absolutely normal. Furthermore, you can make plenty of newbie gains without a surplus, as long as you are eating at around maintenance calories and focusing on having enough protein, high fiber starchy carbs, fruits, vegetables, and health-promoting fats. So you may not need to bulk right now, and you may not be ready to make the most of a bulk anyway. That's why I never put a new client who's a beginner lifter on a bulk from day one of coaching. Instead, I run what I call a bulk primer phase, during which we practice the skills I've just mentioned while milking the absolute most out of their newbie gains phase. By the end of this bulk primer, they are going to be more skilled and have a better body composition than when they started, because they put on muscle with little to no added body fat thanks to the body recomposition powers of the newbie gains stage. In some cases, they may even lose body fat at the same time as gaining muscle without undergoing an official cut. Gasp! Anyway, this is a far better position to start a bulk from than the first day that they stepped into the gym. And by the way, if you want to learn more about the bulk primer phase, check out the article that I'm going to link in the video notes. To wrap this up, in order to build a better physique faster, you want to avoid these 3 common mistakes. Number 1, bulking too soon when you are tired of cutting. Number 2, chronically undereating. And number 3, bulking too soon when you do not need to cut. Thank you for watching, Happy New Year, and I'll talk to you soon.